Now, I'll tell the places where these 3 steps happens. And when we talk about respiration, we'll talk about aerobic and anaerobic. I hope you know these words. Yes. Aerobic in the presence of oxygen, anaerobic in the absence of oxygen. You know these words, this terminology? Okay, no problem, no problem. Actually, this has to come under chemistry.
Ma'am, sorry, ma'am, I do.
I got your question. Third step, ATP. Yes, oxidative phosphorylation. We'll discuss now. Now I'm telling the places where this happens. We'll discuss now. We'll discuss about oxidative phosphorylation. Don't worry about that. Okay. Yeah. Now glycolysis, it happens in cytoplasm. The place where glycolysis happens. Okay, cytoplasm. And in the cytoplasm, glycolysis happens. This pyruvate will be formed. Acetyl-CoA will enter into mitochondria through porins. Remember the word porins, carriers. Through porins, the acetyl-CoA will end into mitochondria. And in mitochondria matrix, Krebs cycle happens. Remember the places where the cycles are happening or the steps are happening. Glycolysis will not happen in mitochondria. Glycolysis will happen in cytoplasm. Okay? Outside mitochondria. Then the products will enter into mitochondria, and in matrix of mitochondria, you will have the Krebs cycle. Then oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation happens on cristae. Okay? Cristae carries a system called ATP synthase. This is the system. Now, Ronak, your doubt gets clarified here. ATP synthase is the system which we'll find on the cristae. I'm just erasing the whole thing because oxidative phosphorylation has to be explained. Now, here we are talking about oxidative phosphorylation. Now, I'll discuss about the ATP. See how ATP is giving energy. We are talking ATP as an energy currency. How ATP is giving energy, that I am going to explain now. When we talk about ATP, adenosine triphosphate, means you will be having 3 phosphate groups. 2 adenine. Okay? Adenine is the nitrogen base. We'll discuss about that later. 3 phosphate groups are there with adenine. So obviously you will have a chemical bond. Okay? Now, ATP will be produced on cristae because of a complex called ATP synthase complex. What happens here is few molecules like the fats or the proteins or other biological molecules, all they will be degraded and electrons will be released. These electrons will help in production of ATP. So here we call it as electron transport chain. This all happens in ATP synthase complex. So the chain how happens? Oxidative, we are saying. Oxidation means what? Giving and taking up the electrons and the hydrogens we call oxidation reduction reactions. All these reactions happens here in this complex for the production of ATP molecule. How the ATP molecule is produced in this complex is different biomolecules are involved from where the electrons will be transferred from one step to another step. These various steps will be involved in this. So various reactions will happen in this electron transport chain and ultimately ATP will be produced. Okay, clear? So here we got ATP in different steps, in glycolysis, in Krebs cycle, and in oxidative phosphorylation. Now, how ATP is acting as energy currency for the cell? Assume I'll give an example. You are going for a strenuous exercise or an evening or morning walk. Assume. Okay. Now, when you go for an exercise, you need more energy. This basic concept you will understand. That's why giving this crude example, hypothetical example. Now you need energy. So how the energy will be there in the body? It will be in the form of ATP. So when you need energy, the phosphate molecules which are there in ATP, they will be broken up. Breaking of phosphate molecule means what? Breaking up the chemical bond. The basic concept in breaking of chemical bond, what will happen? Energy will be released, isn't it? In every chemical reaction, wherever there will be breaking of a chemical bond or a bond between two atoms or molecules, energy will be released. So that energy will be used by the muscles to pump calcium, to work further. This is all how happens ATP taken as the energy currency. You got the point how ATP is taken as energy currency? So we are saying it as currency. So wherever you need, this currency will be used in the form of energy. How that will be used in the form of energy, I am explaining. The ATP molecule, which is having 3 phosphate groups in its structure, whenever energy is needed, in such case, the chemical bond breakage between phosphates will happen and that releases energy. So this is how ATP is formed, the energy currency of the cell. Any doubts with the ATP, oxidative phosphorylation? 3 points we have to understand. The first one is different steps involved in energy production for mitochondria, which is nothing but the ATP, the glycolysis, Krebs cycle, oxidative phosphorylation. And in oxidative phosphorylation, different molecules will be involved in various reactions, which we call as electron transport chain. And through this electron transport, ATP product will be formed on a complex called ATP synthase complex. Now ATP, how it is used when we need energy? By breaking down the phosphate groups. Breaking of chemical bonds releases energy. That's the basic concept.
Ma'am, till the ATPs are used, ma'am, they are stored in the mitochondria.
They are stored in mitochondria and they'll be released from mitochondria through porins. Now see, when water gets into the mitochondria and some mitochondria, isn't it? So from mitochondria, ATP will be released when there is a need of energy. Okay? That's why it's called powerhouse. See, the name itself indicates powerhouse, which holds power, which holds the energy.